All right, hello everyone. Welcome to today's IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I will be your teacher today. I'm broadcasting to you live from beautiful Budapest, Hungary. How's everybody doing? Can everybody hear me okay right now? And can you see the board behind me? Hello, Hamsili from Turkey. Hi, Rena. Thank you for answering my question, Neo and Priyanka and Bohara. Awesome. So, girls and guys, you can see me well. You can hear me well. That's excellent. Today, we are going to be looking at some IELTS speaking part 2. Yesterday, we looked at part 1. So, today, we will continue by looking at the cue card. Of course, these materials are coming from our websites. This is our academic website here at aehelp.com. You log in at the top right up there, and once you're logged in, you have access to all of our wonderful materials, 40 lesson videos, 6 full practice tests, audio CDs, and everything else that's going to help you to pass the IELTS exam. Our course costs less than most other companies charge just for their practice test books. And we believe our materials are better. So definitely join us there or on generalieltshelp.com if you're studying for general IELTS. So check those out when you have a minute. I'll put those web addresses up in a moment. Now let's jump right into our speaking in a moment here. So we are looking at IELTS speaking part 2. We're going to do some practice. I'll give you some strategies. The date today is the 14th of April. The IELTS classes that we're teaching right now on YouTube, they are streaming and you can watch them here. We'll leave them up for a couple days, but very soon we will be putting all of our live stream classes on our websites with all of our other videos, so that's where you will be able to watch them after you join the full course. We also offer Skype practice interviews for speaking. If you're interested in that, checking out how well you speak and what kind of a band score you should expect on the IELTS, then please send an email to adrian@aehelp.com. That's my name at the company, so adrian@aehelp.com. Okay, please do that. Now, let's get into looking at the materials. So, this is coming from our second test book, and it is coming from page 67. I believe that's the test number 5, if I'm not mistaken. So page 67, if you have our products at home, that's where you will find this speaking. So yesterday, if you were in class, you will remember that we looked at part 1. I taught you some strategies for that. Anybody remember, just a quick refresher for those students who are joining the class again, what were some of the key strategies that I was teaching you yesterday for part 1 of speaking? So I taught you, I remember, 3 big ones to follow, 3 kind of key important ideas to follow. Does everybody remember what those were? It's a little bit of a memory check here. If it's your first time, don't worry about it. This is just a little bit of a review for all those students who join these classes regularly. So if you were here yesterday, I gave you 3 big tips on what you need to focus on to get a nice high IELTS band score, like let's say 7 or an 8. Safa says conjunctions. Absolutely, yeah. So conjunctions was one of the strategies, right? Good answer, Jyoti and Nargiza. You're saying go to the exam 1 hour before the test. Yeah, sure. And what should you do in that 1 hour? So go early to your speaking exam. What do you need to do in that time before you go to your interview? And Jyoti says use conjunctions as well. So I said use conjunctions. Yep. Go to the exam early. And there was also a third point that I made that was really important for everyone. Yeah, Jyoti says speak to another candidate in that 1 hour before your exam. Yeah, practice with your friends or even strangers, even if you don't know the person, but it looks like, hey, this guy or this girl is here to sit the IELTS exam. Say, excuse me, are you here for the IELTS? try it in English. And if they say, yes, I'm here for the IELTS, and then you can say, well, would you mind sitting down with me for a few minutes to go over a few questions? I think it will help you and help me as well. And I'm sure they will be very happy. That's right, Amarwadi, warm up. So Priyanka, thank you. That was the third strategy that I was looking for, is complete and correct answers. So answer what, answer why, and give an example, okay? So those were the 3 points that I made in yesterday's class. I said, go to the exam early, warm up, talk to other candidates while you're there. Number 2, make sure you use conjunctions. So join your ideas together with subordinating, correlative, and coordinating conjunctions. If you don't know what those 3 are, you're new, go to the websites and you can review those, okay? Now, of course, another really important point is that you give complete, clear answers. And for that, you need to think about the what, the why, and then the how answers. The how being a good example from the real world, okay? And put that all together with those conjunctions and you get a great score. Awesome. So we talked about parks. That was the first part. Now, let's look at part 2. So you're in the IELTS exam. You sat down, you introduced yourself, you had a little chit-chat about what you do, whether you go to school or work. You went through part 1. The examiner asked you some questions about parks. You gave some great answers. You're feeling confident, you're relaxed, you're speaking with a nice loud voice. By the way, how should you speak in IELTS? I mean, when you're looking at the interviewer, you should imagine that the interviewer is who. So who are you speaking to? Who should you imagine that you're trying to have a conversation with? Anybody? I see there are a lot of Happy New Year's going up. I'm guessing it's Happy New Year's in some part of the world. So definitely a Happy New Year for those of you out there. Yeah, that's right, Maria. That's right, Jyoti. You are talking to Grandpa. You're talking to your granddad. Means respectful, loud, clear voice, okay? Make sure you're speaking in complete sentences and don't think that your grandpa knows what you know. Grandpa doesn't know a lot about the internet. Grandpa doesn't know tons about technology. Grandpa doesn't know much about the city where you live because he grew up somewhere else, okay? So give lots of details, use exact nouns, use proper nouns for your answers. You're talking to your grandparents, okay? That's what you should imagine. And hopefully all of you are very comfortable when you're speaking to your grandparents. So just imagine that the interviewer is your grandpa or your grandma. Feel comfortable with them. Talk to them in a nice, respectable, loud voice, okay? They're probably hard of hearing. I know I am, and I'm nowhere near as old as my grandpa yet. All right, so here we go. We get to part 2. Now, in part 2, of course, the way that it works is you get a card from the examiner. The examiner will give you the instructions. They'll say you have 1 minute to prepare your notes, and then you will have 2 minutes to talk, and then they'll say when to start and when to stop, and then you're ready with your pencil and your paper, and you're ready to rock and roll. Okay, so you get the card, and this card is in front of you, okay? So you look down, your 60 seconds starts. 60 seconds is not a lot of time to think about your answers, so you have to have good strategy. You have to know what you're going to do with your notes and your ideas. So here we go. What is my first step? I have this card in front of me. What do I do? What's my step number 1? Give you guys a chance. Start visualizing. Absolutely, Hike. I agree 100%. You definitely want to visualize the information that you're reading. So here, talk about a memorable item you no longer have. So you start collecting some visual information about items that you had in the past that you no longer have. And then Safa says, identify the topic. Okay. All right, good. So what is the topic here? What is the topic in our situation? In our situation, what is our topic? Can anybody tell me? A memorable item. That's right, Neo. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Memorable item. That's the full topic. Okay. So here we go. So step 1. Identify the topic and visualize. Combine those two this time. So in a perfect world, and for those of you who do have our courses at aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com, I'll put those websites up real quick so you can write these down and look at it anytime you want. So if you're studying for academic IELTS, it's aehelp.com. Okay. And if you're studying for general IELTS, our website is gieltshelp.com. Okay, and again, on these websites, we use psychology to maximize your learning. That is my major, and that's the major of the other guys that I work with to develop these products. So, if you already have our course on these websites, you know that the 3 main strategies that we teach for all of IELTS are critical thinking, paraphrasing, and visualization. For those of you who are new, what I just said, basically that's the trick to getting a 7, 8, or 9 on IELTS, okay? Paraphrasing, visualization, critical thinking. If you can master those 3 skills, you will be able to master not only IELTS, but a lot of your other exams in university and college as well. You can learn those on the website. So in a perfect world, what you're doing for part 2 speaking is you're combining those 3 strategies, okay? So you're identifying the topic, you're asking what is it about, and you're visualizing. And of course, when you're speaking and when you're planning, then you're paraphrasing what you say. Thank you guys for those of you and girls who have subscribed to our websites. I'm sure you'll do well there, okay? Farouk, if you have signed up for the website, you've got to log into your My Student account. You should find lots of free materials there. If you don't find it there, you got to look a little bit closer, my man. You just got to click those tabs. I'm not going to go into it right now, but maybe at the end of the class, I'll show you. If you have trouble, just send me an email. Okay, so identify the topic and visualize. And some of you said, okay, the topic here is a memorable item. Okay, so let me ask you this. When I think about a memorable item, okay, and you got to be quick. You only have 60 seconds to prepare your answer in part 2. When you have this memorable item and you have to visualize it, okay, what is a memorable item? Okay, let's step back a little bit. Let's look at the controlling idea before we do that, right? So when we look at the card, here's the question. Talk about a memorable item you no longer have. So obviously the controlling idea here is something that you no longer have and something that was important to you, okay? So controlling idea in this case is here, and often you will find the rest of the main controlling idea as the last question. Here, why was it important to you? And can you replace it? Okay, so look at the first and last statement or question for the controlling idea. So here, identify the topic and visualize, and then also identify the controlling idea. Okay, in this case, you no longer have, can you, and irreplaceable. Okay, irreplaceable meaning, of course, that you cannot replace it. All right. So let me ask you then, when you visualize this, so when you do this quickly, okay, when you do this quickly, so you're visualizing, you look at the card, and you're thinking about a memorable item you no longer have. Is it irreplaceable? What is it? What do you girls and guys think about? So what comes to mind when you're thinking of a memorable item you no longer have? Okay. All right, Lytton comes up with the very first answer there, and that was a good one. Your iPhone. iPhone would be your first cell phone would be probably a pretty good one. Okay, so I'll take a few answers here. Okay, first mobile phone. I like that second answer as well. Wedding ring. Wedding ring is probably good to talk about. I really like that answer that just came up with jazz and hike. My first car. Wow, yeah, that's a great answer. Lots to talk about your first car if you had one. Absolutely, that's a brilliant answer. I'm loving that one. Okay, a watch that was gifted by your father. Sure. A watch or a motorbike would be a good one as well. Okay. Okay, Safa says had a gold ring that she got from money that she won in a jackpot in a competition. That's fantastic too. So obviously these are some great answers here. We can even stop there. We don't need more. First house would be an interesting one. A house is a bit of a, it's a very massive object, but I suppose you could pass it off as an item. I think I would stop at the size of a car or a motorbike for sure. Okay, a camera would be a very good one as well. I'll just add that as a last tidbit. Camera. Okay, when I'm looking at these, I would probably say that my favorite ones from here are camera, first car, and phone, and I guess wedding ring as well. The reason I especially like camera and first car is because there are a lot of events that are connected to those objects. So your wedding ring, sure, your wedding is connected to it and your husband is connected to it, but outside of that, there aren't necessarily too many events that are connected to your ring. There could be, but not arguably as many as to a camera. A camera, you can connect to a lot of events. It could have been your first hobby. You were taking pictures of your first girlfriend or your boyfriend. It had a lot of memories attached to it. So there are a lot of things that you can connect to a camera and that you can connect to a car. So if you think about a few of these, okay, don't just think of one, but think of a few, then pick the one that you feel you can connect the most information to, because that will make it much easier to talk for 2 minutes in a very clear and connected way, okay? So keep that in mind. Don't just think of one answer when you're answering for part 2 in speaking, okay? That's a really important strategy, all right? So think of at least 2 or 3 answers to the topic question and choose the one that is the easiest to talk about and contains much information. So when I'm looking at Chennai, it's funny, but I think your first baby is not an object. That is a who. It's a human. All right. So think of at least 2 or 3 answers to the topic question and choose the one that is the easiest to talk about and contains a lot of information. The one I like a lot here, I think it has a lot of information, is first car. Okay? I'm a guy. I'll go with first car. If you're a girl, you might go with something different, but I'm sure a lot of you also had first cars out there. So I'm going to go with first car on this one. Okay. So again, think of more than just one topic answer. Think about 2 or 3, and then pick the one that you think you can talk the most about. Okay. Now, this is a little bit going back to some of the previous lessons that I've taught. Basically on IELTS, there are 4 main categories of topics that you can see on these cards. Okay, I'm not going to ask you, I'm just going to give them to you because I've asked you in previous classes. So 4 categories. Okay, and they are people, objects, places, and events. Okay, so generally speaking, your part 2 card will be about one of these 4 categories. Now, of course, in our situation, you can see that we're talking about objects. Okay. Again, on our website, aehelp.com, academic, glshelp.com, general, we discuss each of these individually and give you examples for them. In one class, I usually just approach one of these in the live streams. We've done people a couple times. Quick review, when you're thinking about people, how should you think about people? So if you want to talk really well about people in 2 minutes, what do you need to think about in your 1 minute planning time? This is just a quick review. See who's paying attention in the classes. So if you have to talk about a famous person or somebody in your family, so Hike says appearance, absolutely. So appearance is important. I'm talking about people right now, Syed. So appearance, personality, right? Yep, there you go, Raya. So personality, character, and then that has to be backed up by actions. That's right. So personality backed up by actions and what they look like. Okay, how about an object? So right now we're focusing on an object. If I want to talk really well about an object, what do I need to focus on? Give me this one, because today we're talking about an object. So object, you have to talk about what? Satish says appearance, absolutely. Okay, so we're talking about the appearance. We're talking about the function, yeah. The importance, that's right. Some of you girls and guys are definitely following these lessons, probably have the courses on the websites. What else can I include, especially in this question? Shape would be, Maria, part of its appearance. Okay, features would be the appearance. So appearance, function, importance, and there's one last little detail I might want to throw in there. Benefit would be the importance. Disadvantages would be a part of its function, Lytton. So those are still just... Ashish, you're closer, memories, but when we're talking about memories, we're talking about our own object. So value is still a part of its appearance, let's say. So how precious it is. Nah, think a little bit bigger scope. I would say history, okay? So a better way to think about it is the history, okay? Where did you get it, right? Yeah, where and when is it from? How useful it is the importance. So that's what you're thinking about when you're thinking of an object, okay? All right. So let's break these up then. Now, I don't need to look at the questions on the card again just yet. What I want to do is I want to actually just answer these on their own, even before looking at the detailed questions on the card, because if I answer these four, then I most likely do a good job of answering the questions on the card, and definitely I'll have good flow and connection among the points that I'm going to make, okay? So here we go. Let's talk about appearance. Can somebody tell me the appearance of their first car? So here's your chance to give me the appearance of your first car. Talk to me about your first car. What did you have? I know what I had. If you girls and guys are curious, I had a Mazda GLC back in 1998. And it was an old Mazda GLC from the 80s. Hike had a cabriolet. It was big. It was black. It was pretty. Look at you guys and girls go. You loved your first car. All right, give me some more. Give me the model. Give me the make. A classic 1995 cherry red Camaro Cadillac. I'm so jealous. Okay. So, you guys got to slow down. You're saying it so quickly, I can't even catch your, okay, it was a red Lada. Okay, a red Lada. Pretty. Okay, what type of car was it? Anybody? What type of car was it? Was it a hatchback, a sedan, an SUV? Spacious. Okay. Okay, when you say spacious, give me a little bit more. So how many seats? Okay, it's a sedan. Okay, 5-seater, sure. Okay, pretty spacious, 5-seater. Let's see. Yeah, it's absolutely okay, Satish, to lie. You can just make it up, okay? Okay, all right. So can you give me some more information? What year was it? What was the year of it, your Lada? It doesn't have to be completely technical data hike. It can be just aesthetic, like what it looks like, big windows, okay? All right, the 2000, let's make it a 1987. Sure, let's make it old school. Come into my time and era of first cars. Okay, now in English, it is kind of important the order of information. So in most natural English, we would say that I had a 1987 red Lada sedan. It was very pretty, spacious, 5-seater, okay? So the order that I'm putting this information is not by accident. There's kind of a natural order to describing adjectives and information, okay? All right. So good. That is the appearance. I don't know why I put that into the history. Let's get that where it should be. Okay, and in your notes, you can definitely write these words down. So you should have 60 seconds should be enough for you to write these down, okay? All right. Now let's jump a little bit to history. I think giving background is probably better before giving function and importance. So let's put that second, okay? I'm going to give you the correct order of information here. When you're talking, and by the way, girls and guys, this should work for just about any object, okay? Not just a memorable object, but just about any object out there. All right, so 1987, red Lada sedan, pretty spacious, 5-seater. Somebody give me a little bit of history. And again, you can lie, you can make this up. It's actually quite easy to make up information about a first car because there's just so much culture around first vehicles in movies and in people's lives that even if you didn't have a first car, you could actually make it up if you're a quick thinker. Okay? So 1987, Lada, Safa says, bought it in 2000, not since. Okay, give me some more information. So Syed says it was Nizam's car, so it was my friend's car, or maybe your uncle's car or something like that, okay? Okay, Juan says it got it in an auction. All right, let's go with auction. Okay, got it at an auction. Okay, Tanu says received it on my birthday. Sure, so my father, okay. Yeah, we can combine that in there, okay? So this is kind of an interesting strategy for part 2. When you have different kinds of information coming in your brain, like I got it from my friend, I got it at an auction, I got it as a birthday gift from my dad. If you're clever and you're quick, you can combine those pieces of information. So you can still say that you got it at an auction, and instead of saying your dad bought the car for you, you can say that your dad gave you some money to buy a car, which then you took and went to an auction with your friend, okay? So, Satish, this is a 1987 Lada being bought in the year 2000. So, yes, it could be enough money to buy that car depending on the shape. So, bought it in 2000, got it at auction. Father gave 2000 for my birthday. When did you have it? How old were you? When did you use it? Okay? So, how old were you? How old were you? When did you use it? What time in your life did you have this car? Raya, good. I was 18 years old back then, sure. In some countries, in Canada, we can get our license at the age of 16. So I know in some countries it's a little bit more. Canada is a very big country, and it's important to be able to get from one place to another, and those great distances are tough to travel if you don't have a car. So we go as early as 16. Okay, so father gave 2,000 for birthday, had it during my teens. Got it at 18. Okay. All right, now let's jump to the function. Okay, so let's jump to the function of your vehicle. So what did you use your car for? Gary, I wouldn't say when I was an infant, because it's your car, so it's not your parents' car. If you try to make a joke, or if you're not paying attention, you say that you got it when you're an infant, that could be really confusing to the listener, so you'll actually lose points. So you got to be really careful there. Okay, so those are some more descriptions, the automatic gears and so on, fast, comfortable, sure, but what was the function? Function means what did you use it for, not how does it move, okay? So sure, you can say it was turbo, fast, automatic. Okay, you can say all those details. But here, power steering, okay, those are all great. That's very technical. But what I'm looking for function here is what does it do for you, okay? When you think about function, don't just think about how it works, okay? But think about what does it do for you, okay? That's a little bit better way to think about the concept of function when you're talking about an object as opposed to how does it actually work. You can give those details. Maybe I would actually include those during the appearance, but think about what it does for you, okay? So you use it for listening to the radio or music, right? Going to college, going to school, driving around with your family and your friends, going shopping with it, okay, going to stores that you were never able to go before because they were too far away, where public transit couldn't take you, feeling like a cool adult. Awesome. Okay, so that's what you're looking for, is used it to commute to school and first job maybe. Okay. Took my friends to parties and movies. Okay. Listened to music, a place to go when I felt stressed. So maybe you went and sat in your car when you felt a little bit stressed about life, or your parents were making you angry, right? So all of those things. And then maybe took my... had my first date, so first date in this car. Okay. So that could also, of course, go into the importance. Now, why was it important for you? So what's the importance of the car? And here, don't think about what we just said, but think about the importance of the car. So what does the car allow you to do that you cannot do without it? Okay? And I think one of you kind of jumped the gun there and said, made me feel all grown up. Okay, that was somebody there. I think that's the importance there. Made me feel all grown up. Helped you to find a job, sure. So now, of course, you don't have enough time to write this much detail on your card unless you're very quick at note-taking, but just the key points, okay? You just be focusing in on the key points here. Okay, allows you to be punctual, yeah, so allows you to commute faster and save time, right? Yeah, those are some good answers. So these aren't mine. I'm grabbing these from what people are writing in the stream. Tanu, you're asking me, can we write one word? I wouldn't write one word. I would probably write two, like find job, save time, faster commute, okay? I always tell students when you're taking notes, write 2 words, okay? That is a good question, and I'm going to put that up as another strategy, okay? So let me just put it here for you, okay? This is an important strategy as well, and that was a good question. Okay, I always tell students for notes, write 2 words. Adjective, noun, or adverb plus verb. Okay, so take 2-word notes. What I see so many students do when they write just 1 word for their notes is they're looking at their notes in their 2 minutes speaking, and they're looking at the word that they wrote, and because they're maybe a little bit stressed or feeling pressure, they completely forget why they wrote that 1 word. They're looking at the word and they're going, why? And they stop talking and it breaks their fluency. So I definitely suggest in your notes, write 2 or 3 words. Try to not write more than 3 words. Make good use of your time, okay? All right, so it helped you to find a job, faster commute, save time, made you feel all grown up, be punctual, okay? Helpful for your friends, right? All of those things are the importance of the car. Okay, now, great. So here we have our answers, okay, for this question. So again, we're going to jump back to our part 2 question. For those of you who are joining, you'll be able to clue in a little bit better here. So the question is, talk about a memorable item you no longer have. We identified several items. We thought about a ring. We thought about a camera. We thought about a first car. We thought, okay, first car is a good one. It's an easy one to talk about for 2 minutes. So we identified the topic, the controlling idea, we picked out the item, then we remembered, okay, now we're talking about objects. So because we're talking about objects, we need to think about the appearance, we need to think about the function, we need to think about the importance and the history of that object. As long as we think about those 4 points, we can talk for 2 minutes in a nice, connected, fluent way. No problems there. So we look, of course, at the card. You should say what the item is and when you had it. Hey, that's already in our notes. We know it's a 1987 red Lada sedan, and we had it when we were 18. We got it in 2000, so we already have that in our notes. Where you got the object, boom, we already have that. Again, when you think about those points, appearance, importance, function, and history, you basically answer the questions on the card in most cases. So where you got the object, sorry, there's a missing T there, where you got the object, of course, you got the object at auction with your friend from the money that your dad gave you. So we have that on the card. Now, the last one, make sure that you answer this question, okay? It's very important for task completion and to get a high score on IELTS. It's very, very important that you answer this last question, okay? One of the big mistakes that students make is they talk, they run out of time, and they forget to answer this last question before the examiner stops them. Please don't do that. Usually the last question is one of the key questions, okay? So let's remember that, and let's jump back to our notes here and quickly add in a piece of information, okay? Now, if you're worried about not being able to answer that last question, then you can answer it in the beginning. So answer it, don't wait until the end of the 2 minutes. Answer it in the beginning of your speaking, okay? That's okay as well, all right? All right, so girls and guys, can we replace our 1987 red Lada sedan? So it's very important to get high scores and for task completion. So always make sure to answer that last question on the card. It's very, very important that you do that for task completion, okay? So here in our example, is it replaceable? Can you replace your 1987 red Lada sedan? Farouk says no because the insurance is going to be so high for an old model. Okay, Gur says yes. All right, Safa says no. Okay, I'm liking a no answer more here, all right? I think a no answer is a little bit better here. Why not? Okay, so no, it is irreplaceable. So my 1987 Red Lotta, Sweet Rosie, as I called her, is irreplaceable. Okay? So I can say, no, my 1987 Red Lotta, Sweet Rosie, as I called her, is irreplaceable. Yeah, I'm giving you a hint there, and I think Jazz picked up on that, because Sweet Rosie has sweet memories, okay? All right, absolutely. Memories are very difficult to replace, and even though you get a car that's going to be very similar, it's not going to be the same car. Many memories may be the same model and year, but not the same car, not the same wear, tear, and smell. Okay, that's what I would go with. I would say it's not going to be the same look. Of course, it's going to have some of the wear and tear when you ran into the fence at the house backwards because you weren't a good driver yet, and that bump that you remember, or that dent that you remember on your bumper, obviously you're not going to be able to recreate that, okay? So you're not going to be able to replace that car the same, all right? It's not going to be the exact same car, so I would go with the more clear answer here. Okay, so now we have all of this information in front of us, and we can definitely now talk for roughly 2 minutes on this topic, right? So we can talk for 2 minutes on this topic. We can connect all this information. Now, very, very importantly, make sure that you use your notes. So if you create your notes, make sure that you use your notes, okay? One of the big mistakes I've seen so many students make is that they write down great notes, great information, and then they forget to use their notes. They don't look at their notes after they've taken great notes. Don't do that, okay? So let me just add that as a key piece of advice. You might think it's funny for me to say this, but or have to verbalize this, but it's absolutely common. Okay? So use your notes, okay, during your speaking. All right, now the other one, of course, that you should do as well, and again, students often forget about this, is look at the card. Don't be afraid to look at the card again. Sometimes what I see students doing is they're in part 2, they're talking about the topic, and then they start going off topic, and they forget to answer the questions that are on the card. The IELTS examiners are looking for you to answer the questions that are actually on that card. So it's okay to look at the card while you speak. Don't keep staring at it. Please don't keep staring at it. But after 30, 40, 50 seconds, look at the card. Check, did I answer that question? Okay, there's another question. And you can actually include that in your speaking. So you can say, just a moment, I'm going to look at the card here. Oh, yeah. Okay, is it replaceable? No, it's irreplaceable. Okay? So you can take a little bit of a gap, Samir. Your question is, can we take a gap while answering? If it means that you're looking at your notes or at the card just to get a clear picture of what you're talking about and where you are, absolutely. It's good, okay? Yes, Jazz, eye contact is important. You shouldn't be staring at the card. That's not good either. You're not talking to your card, okay? Remember, you're talking to Grandpa. Grandpa would feel really strange if you're staring at a card and not him, okay? So, strategy 4, look at the card to make sure you are answering questions and not going off topic. Okay? So that's important during the speaking time, of course. So it's okay to say, I'm going to check the card. Oh, yes. Is it replaceable? Okay, so this is an example here, of course. Now, of course, don't just stare at the card. Okay, just look at it. Keep it in front of you. Don't stare at it. Okay, so now that you have this information, let's look at our notes. Let's say the speaking here. So let's talk about the speaking, and let's repeat after me. So as I say this, just repeat after me, okay? I'm not going to type this one out. I think you guys and girls are doing a great job so far. So just repeat after me, okay? Now, remember, here's the card. Okay, don't forget the card. So the card is, talk about a memorable item you no longer have. You need to include that in your first sentence, okay? So can somebody please let me know that you're ready to begin, and then I'll start giving the answer. So is everybody ready to start repeating after me? You're all ready to go? All ready to speak after me? Yes, okay, you're all ready. I see some of you have some questions. Just keep those questions in mind, and I'll give you a chance to ask me some questions at the end, okay? All right, so I have the card in front of me. I'm talking about a memorable item I no longer have. And now I look at my notes and begin talking as soon as the examiner says your 2 minutes begins now, okay? Well, one of the most memorable items that I no longer have in my possession is a 1987 red Lada sedan. This was my very first car that I owned. She was a beauty, a spacious 5-seater sedan that all of my friends could pile into and we could drive all over the place. I bought my car in the year 2000 and I got it at a local auction near my house. In fact, my father gave me $2,000 for my 18th birthday and told me to pick out a nice, safe car that I could use to get around. He told me about the auction, so I went there with my friend. I even remember it was on a Saturday. And we checked out all the cars. We made a good bid and won the car for close to $2,000. I was 18 years old at the time. A couple of the key features that I liked about my car was that it was fast, it was an automatic, and had turbo. I used it all the time, every day. I commuted to and from school. It allowed me to be on time because my school was quite far away from my house, and I could get there by 8:30 in the morning without having to wake up too early. After I graduated from school, I was able to look for jobs at greater distances, not just in my neighborhood, because I knew I could drive. And in fact, I got work at a hotel doing janitorial. And I remember that it was helpful to pay for gas for my car. I also took my friends to parties and movies, and they really enjoyed the convenience I was able to give them. When I was really stressed about my work or my school, or my parents just made me angry, my car was a great place to go and relax with some music. The reason my car was important for me was because it made me feel all grown up, allowed me to travel to faraway places, helped me find a job, saved me a lot of time, and helped with my friends. Just let me look at the card for a second. Okay, I see that there's one more question here. So can I replace it? No, unfortunately, I can't replace my car. Sweet Rose, as I called her. She is irreplaceable simply because of all the memories that I have driving around to places, going on my first date. And even if I were able to get a 1987 red Lada, it wouldn't have the same kind of wear, such as the dent in the rear bumper from driving into my fence, the tear in the back seat, or that strange smell that I never was able to get out. Okay, so that was the full speaking there. It was maybe a little bit more than 2 minutes. Definitely you want to time yourself at home, but I would say roughly that was 2 minutes. Next time we can time ourselves. Lots of details, lots of information, connecting ideas, putting in correlative, subordinating, coordinating conjunctions, okay? So that's what you want to do at home, okay? You say that was closer to 3 minutes, Lytton. I wasn't watching the clock, but definitely a good strategy at home is watch the clock, okay? So I'll add that in. I was not watching the clock because I don't have one right in front of me. I was looking at the notes, but I appreciate those of you who are saying, hey, that was more. You got to stop a little bit shorter. Absolutely. So I might have cut out a little bit of redundancy there, maybe said a little bit less, maybe taken out the part about going to my job, going to school was enough, okay? So strategy 4, have a clock in front of you so that you know what to say when. And stop at 2 minutes. And that is important. So I'm happy that several of you caught that. That was more than 2 minutes, because you definitely want to stop at 2 minutes. The examiner will stop you. So if I were in a real exam there, the examiner would have said to me at 2 minutes, stop. And if I wouldn't have answered that last question by that time, that would be a problem. I would not get full scores, no matter how fluent or natural my language is. Okay? So make sure that you have a clock or a stopwatch in front of you. All right. So let's go back to the top here and just do a quick review of what we covered today. So we talked about step 1, identifying the topic and visualizing. Pick more than one topic for your answer. Choose the one that's the easiest for you. Okay? And then for the second strategy, make sure that for your notes you write down 2 words, adjective and a noun, or adverb and a verb, okay? Again, remember, when you're talking about objects, you're talking about their appearance, their function, their history, and their importance, okay? That will work for any kind of object. Don't forget to look at the card and look at your notes, okay? Make sure you're answering the questions. Make sure you're using your notes. Oh, another important point. A student just asked me this the other day, and I said, okay, yeah, don't do that. So some students write their notes in their own language. Don't do that. Please write notes in English, okay? Don't write notes in your own language. In fact, you should not be using your own language during the IELTS. You should stay in English, okay? And then, of course, have a clock in front of you so that you're not going over the time, okay? All right, so that's it for today's class. Now, if you have some questions, go ahead and ask me, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. So, any questions about part 2 speaking? Any questions? Zori, check out our websites and check out our YouTube channel. There's a lot of information there that will help you for your writing and reading, okay? And a lot of practice there for you as well, okay? Jazz, no, wouldn't comment on the card. So you're saying it's an interesting cue card? No, don't comment on the card. That's awkward. It's an interesting topic, but don't comment on the topic. Just start speaking, okay? If I missed your question, just write it up again, all right? El Matador, yeah, absolutely you can use American accent. Your accent or your pronunciation doesn't matter as long as it's clear enough for the examiner to understand you. So a lot of students worry about their pronunciation. Don't worry about your pronunciation. If I can understand you, if I can understand what you're saying clear enough that I get your ideas, that's all that you need for pronunciation. If your pronunciation is so strange that you're saying different words or that I can't make out what you're saying, that's a problem, okay? Pachu, what key points do you take down during note-taking? It depends. If your topic is people, then it's their appearance, personality, and actions, and then looking at the questions on the card. If it's objects, then it's what we talked about today, appearance, function, importance, and history. If it's an event, it's different. If it's a place, then it's different again. Marina, you're asking me how should you react if they stop your talking. Then just say, okay, thank you, and then here's the card back. Don't worry that you didn't get to finish. If you didn't get to finish, hopefully you did, but if you didn't get to finish, don't worry about it. Just say, okay, no problem. Stay calm and get ready for part 3, okay? Don't stress. Don't think, oh my God, they just totally cut me off. So just stop, say, okay, thanks, that's all, and then give the card back, okay? Panku, sound like is good use in speaking. Yeah, absolutely. These are natural fillers. They're called natural fillers. Every language has them. Don't take my word for it. A lot of students are worried about natural fillers and using natural fillers. If you use natural fillers correctly, and to help you buy time to think of better answers or better connections for your sentences, then you will get a good score for using natural fillers. Of course, you can't use too many of them, and you can't sit there for 10 seconds going, So of course that's overkill, and that will be a problem for your score. But if you do short uhs, then that's fine. If you want to learn more about that, you can learn more about that on our websites, or you can just type in natural fillers in speech in Google, and you'll get lots of information about natural fillers. Okay? All right. Yeah, natural fillers are okay, Satish, to use in part 2. They're okay to use in any part. Safa says, what do you do if the topic is unfamiliar and there's a little controlling idea? The topic should be familiar to you. The IELTS examiner chooses them from a big book. You might be able to say, this is really unfamiliar for me. Can you choose another one? Because they do have more than one choice. I'm not sure technically if they're allowed to give you a different card if you're really uncomfortable with the first one. But hey, it doesn't hurt to ask. So if it's something really odd, then you can say, oh, this is completely out of my realm of knowledge. Is there any chance that I can get a different card? Okay. And you should ask that as soon as they say turn over the card, and now you have 2 minutes to prepare. Okay. Hadil, idioms, do they boost your score? Very, very careful here. Idioms can boost your score if you use them 100% correct, and the idiom is a true English idiom. More often than not, Hadil, I see people using idioms either incorrectly or incorrect English idioms. So I generally tell students to stay away from idioms, okay? Don't force idioms. Sometimes what students do is they force idioms. They try to forcefully use an idiom that's not natural, and that's awkward, so careful, okay? Can you have a lesson on idioms? Hadil, I don't do lessons on idioms for IELTS. I do lessons for idioms when I teach general English, which I don't do a lot of these days, but not for IELTS because I don't encourage students to use idioms, okay? Subash, ways to boost your score. Make sure that you're focusing on the right topic, the right controlling idea. Make sure that you're connecting your sentences with conjunctions. So those are all ways in which you can boost your score. All right, girls and guys, I'm sure you have lots more questions. Don't worry, we will have live streaming tomorrow as well. Same time, a little bit later in the day, so it'll be 4 p.m. Until then, join us on our website. Lots of help there for you for the speaking section, including practice speaking interview and connecting with other students for peer-to-peer speaking practice chatting. That's all in your My Student account. If you're studying for academic IELTS, please go to aehelp.com, okay? It's also up here, and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS, okay? If you want to have a practice IELTS speaking interview with me, send me an email. My email is adrian@aehelp.com, and I will send you some information on how you can do that. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. I hope you got some good information out of this lesson. I hope you repeated a lot of the information that I said. You were able to practice your English listening skills as well as your speaking skills. Make sure to follow these steps if you get an object for your part 2 in your next IELTS exam. Much love. Bye for now, everyone. Make sure to practice at home. Practice does make perfect. You have beautiful brains, beautiful minds. I believe in you, and good luck on your exams. Bye for now.